Hey, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Nick.
We are working class nerds.
Cue the intro. That's right. We are Working Class Nerds, the podcast that gives you no information about your favorite information.
Today is Thursday, July 16th, 2020, and you can find this that he finally made time in his schedule to join us on our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. You can find me on Twitch streaming all the games at twitch.tv/MarcusB814, and you can find the both of us on Twitter. I am at MarcusB814.
And I am at Nick Vern, that's NickVern. In this week's episode, we're talking about our experiences with D&D and Star Wars Legion. So joining us this week is my longtime friend, Joey Fetta.
Who has blown us off numerous times to come on the show.
Well, he's a busy guy. He's got 17,000 degrees in nursing, so he's busy in school all the time. But besides the nursing degrees, Fetta's also a fantastic Dungeons & Dragons DM and is the facilitator of all of my various Star Wars Legion adventures that I've been having the past few weeks. So, hey, welcome to the show, and what have you been up to?
Welcome.
Thanks for finally having me.
Wait.
Whoa,
No. You can't call that bullshit right away, because that is some deep bayou bullshit, okay? You've got your boots all the way up to your knees, because that ain't true. We've asked you numerous times, and I remember the last time we were all set and ready for you to come on, and what did you do? You ignored the text. You ignored the phone call. You failed, not us.
Well,
Anyways,
I finally had an
resistance
opening
is
in my
futile.
schedule.
So now that we've shamed you, tell us about your past 2 weeks and what you have been doing.
Past couple of weeks, I've been working at the COVID Palace Hartford Hospital as a registered nurse. I've been playing a lot of frisbee golf, and obviously the majority of my time is being taken up by my various hobbies related to D&D, Star Wars Legion, and tabletop miniature games, essentially.
Do you play digital video games?
Digital video games, yes, but not as often.
Sure.
Recently, I just re-downloaded Star Wars Battlefront 2, the EA one that everyone hates.
No,
And
not
I
us.
know why.
Dude, we've been jamming on that game.
Seriously?
Yeah, with our
Yeah.
last episode, we had 2 episodes ago, we were just on the Star Wars Battlefront podcast
Oh, beautiful.
talking about it. I think it got a whole bunch of, basically what we figured out during that episode was that Battlefront 2 got a whole bunch of bad press right in the beginning for all the loot box stuff, but they pretty much fixed it right away, or at least within, a month or two. And then they've just been adding more and more content to the game since, and now it's pretty epic.
Yeah, all their Rogue One content came out, and I was loving it.
Scarif is so beautiful.
Scarif is gorgeous.
Scarif's awesome. I like that whole movie. I enjoyed a whole lot. That's probably one of my favorites of the sort of Disney acquisition movies,
Oh, by far.
But anywho, besides Battlefront, any other
Oh, so-
games? Go ahead, Marcus.
No, what I was going to say is, so one of the co-hosts of the Greater Guild AIE, their AIE podcast, McCullough, she only plays tabletop games. I think she just recently started playing Final Fantasy 14, but every week she tells us about like what D&D campaign she's on. They were playing a Star Wars D&D game. I forget what it's called.
Star Wars 5e? Or was it the
No.
actual Star
No.
Wars RPG?
No, I will tell you. It's something.
So you think I'm stalling? Stalling?
What? Anyways,
That's from a movie. I don't remember which one. I think it was it might be Frozen or something. The character is just musing about the definition of stalling, and the joke is because they're literally stalling for time. I was trying to do that while you were looking up which Star Wars.
well,
game
no,
it was.
I'm fine. Anyways, I'll find it in a second. What would you say your favorite is? Do you enjoy being a D&D DM, or do you like the Star Wars Legion? Because we're going to talk about it more, but isn't it 2-person only? It's not like a 4-player.
Yeah, exactly. It's one against one, and that's something I recently got into. So that's been taking more of my time just because it's new and exciting. Meanwhile, I've been playing D&D since probably 3.5 edition.
Wow.
Yeah.
Since the Pathfinder days?
It's called Age of the Rebellion or a Edge of the Empire.
Edge of Empire. I know a little bit about Edge of Empire.
Okay. That's that that's what that's like a true like D&D clone. I was
Yep.
just curious if you ever played it.
I think I tried to play it once, but it like kind of fell apart, as most things I try and do.
Well, you
It's
just
hard to
said
find a
do.
party.
Oh god.
Well, I was just gonna say, so that's the hardest part about D&D for me and games like that, because for me, between work, married life, kids, it's really hard for me to go somewhere in person to play a game.
Yeah.
Right? Where if you did like Roll20 D&D, like I could totally do that one day a week.
hmm
But then I feel like you're almost losing in the experience by doing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So once COVID-19 hit, like obviously my party kind of dissolved, the one that I was currently working with. But I did a whole Discord server once they added video for COVID, and I set up webcams to get my actual table because I invest so much of my time in the actual terrain and that kind of more concrete experience with D&D, and it seemed to work out pretty good. I haven't used Roll20 in a formal capacity. I've played around with it a little bit, and it's just a huge investment of time on the DM's part to get everything set up.
Sure.
To get all the environments in there and everything.
Yeah, but I guess
Yeah.
but at the same time, I guess if you set up like the webcam for the table and you're like over the top view of like a city, we'll call it,
Mhm.
and you live stream that on Discord and you're doing it, it's essentially the same as Roll20. The only difference of Roll20 is that you're putting all of your rolls into like its own like sheet. So they're like D20's doing the work for you on that side of it.
Okay.
I mean, I enjoyed the tactile sensation of like being able to roll your dice though, because I know for me, you can like kind of do it and like get better results, or at least maybe I just like to pretend and fake it that I'm getting better results. But like if for example, when I was playing D&D more often, I'd like to take my D20 and like have the 20 start facing up and then try to get it to roll over only once when I roll it. You know what I mean? So
Try to
I
load your dice.
I mean, I'm trying to. It didn't work well, but the I roll poorly all the time. But still, you're trying to, to have that a little bit of control in the chaos. Whereas if you're just clicking a button on D20, it's like true randomization. So it's not really, you have a lot less control, I feel like,
Yeah,
or
you
at
can't
least,
really shoot hot with an RNG.
yeah, definitely not. You can't get on a roll, so to speak. But so what else you been up to? Anything, Joy? Working,
Yeah,
tabletopping?
not working, tabletopping, trying to figure out this whole new environment we call post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's kind of been putting a damper on a lot of things I like to do because I'm trying to not expose other individuals to potential illness. So
Yeah. Yeah, you had the Rona too.
I did.
Me and Joey
I
both
came
did.
down with it.
How was was your experience like Nick's?
No, I think I had it worse. Not trying to say that Vern had any like less of a issue with COVID-19, but I was on my ass for 3 weeks.
All right,
Dude,
so can
so was I. I almost went to the hospital. It was ugly.
So,
I had to
all
like
right.
self-prone on my couch.
Yeah, I did too. Dude, I had to
Okay, maybe you
exclusively
just underplayed it and tried to be cool because I thought
I
I
did.
was like actually dead.
No, I legitimately almost went to the hospital several times. I
So-
called my
so-
primary a bunch. But go ahead, Marcus.
I was gonna say, so Feta, when my daughter found out Nick got the virus, she called him every day.
Wow.
And this one day, she FaceTimed him, and
Mhm.
we were all there at dinner, and she's like, "Oh, Nick, how you doing?" And you could see it in his eyes. His eyes were like melting off of his face, and he like for like 3 minutes, he was like, "I'm doing good, Julia. Thank you so much." But you could see it in his eyes; they were like bleeding from the inside out,
Oh
not
my
literally,
God.
but you could like tell he was just like, okay, as soon as I'm off this call, I'm going to cough and die. All right, everybody. And I was like, all right, say bye, Julia. Feel better. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Then
And
you
I
pass
make fun
out
of
on
them.
him.
For the record, I did.
Yep.
Cough a lot after. But
Anyway, Nick, so what have you been up to?
so, somebody opened up a can of worms last episode, and I've been playing a whole bunch of Elder Scrolls Online this week. What day did we start, Marcus? Was that Monday?
Yeah.
So Monday night, Marcus is like, dude, go download ESO. We're playing tonight. Like, fuck you, go download it. I'm like, all right, fine.
It's
Like,
$20.
it's $20. Like, I know your bitch ass has $20. Like,
Oh,
okay.
you didn't have it prior to this?
No, I didn't have the ESO prior to this. Because
Oof.
I was like half afraid of what it would unleash, but but I also didn't know if I was gonna like an MMO, but I'm liking this a lot. So downloaded it Monday. I played through like the tutorial and stuff, and maybe one quest afterwards. And then hopped online with Marcus and Ven and Katarina. And we just like went through like just to kill a bunch of ads essentially. In this one area.
Yeah, it was like a heavy trash area where there was a ton of ads and there was a ton of XP. I think
Right.
I went up 1 or 2 levels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I went up to 2 or 3, something like that. But I started off lower than you, so we got like a lot of XP. So, anyways, the next day I played for like an hour or something, and then today I played for like 3 hours, and I was just jamming.
What level are you now?
Like 11 or
18.
12.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but I was like level 3 the other day.
What a grind.
It's yeah. So
It feels like an MMO, but it also almost doesn't feel
It doesn't.
like an MMO.
And that's why I like it. I don't really. I'm gathering that I don't really like the MMO-y parts, but I also it's like just enough regular RPG or like Bethesda game. Like all the story stuff feels like that. You know, where it's like, oh, go find this quest, and it's like pretty fleshed out, and there's all this like lore background tied into everything. You're talking about Daedric princes and sort of demigods, the dark elf
Vivek.
tribunal and stuff like that are all involved. So you've got this like rich lore that I like from the RPGs. It's not just like, hey, this is a bomb, go defuse the bomb. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think when it's more complicated, the quests that might be in reality just like a fetch quest, when it's tied into lore and things, it feels a lot more in depth. So it's easier to get immersed in it. You know, it doesn't feel so like cheap, if that makes sense.
And no, it does a lot. And like last night for me, I played and I quested, but I was in like the Discord with Kat and Pen. It was actually really fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was going around doing my own thing and they were doing theirs, but it was nice just to hang out with people and chat with them. But I do agree with you that the quests feel more full than like the SOTOR quest. It's like, okay, go defuse 3 bombs and then walk back 5 miles.
Right.
And tell me you defused them, and then I'm going to send you on another quest.
Yeah.
So for that, it's sweet. For me now with it, Nick, and you'll understand because you played so much Skyrim, and the only way you could get around was that compass at the top.
Right.
For me, it was like I needed a mini map. Like that was everything. And now that I have it, it's actually made it so much better for me. What did you make for a character? I forgot.
Oh, so let me tell you exactly. Wait, one more thing before I move on to my character, though. So normally I don't really like an MMO as much, but especially with the length of sort of questing, how long and how far you have to go for quests in SOTOR. But for this, I like having players in the like all the cities and stuff make them feel so much more fleshed out than in Skyrim, whereas it would be all NPCs. You know, so you can have your NPCs, but then walking around, but then you also have a bunch of players. So it makes cities feel more realistic, you know?
Oh yeah, so like it's like you're not going into like a ghost town where there's just NPCs. You see people moving around in like frantic ways, and it's like, holy cow, this is a real city.
Right, this is a person. Yeah, so you have people walking, you have people, running on horses or bears or all kinds of crazy mounts and stuff like that, or you have crazy pets and stuff. It just feels a lot more fleshed out, which I appreciate. But then the quests feel like a normal sort of Bethesda RPG, So I'm enjoying it a lot. It's got almost like the best of both worlds. so far, especially because you can go in first person, which I definitely prefer. For combat,
What?
I prefer. Yeah, I definitely prefer the first person when I'm just like doing quests. When I get into combat, I like to pop into third person, but for like just walking through and like in looking around at everything, I definitely like the first person better.
Wow.
I think like the graphics look better in first person. I mean, it's like it's essentially it's the same, but like I just like that perspective better because you can look at all the little details of like a bookcase or different. I don't know. I notice more in first person than I do in third, if that makes sense. Especially like trying to find like items to pick up and stuff. But anywho, so what I actually went with, if you don't know, for Elder Scrolls Online, there's 3 different like alliances, which are clusters of races. And that this I think that's relevant for PvP, not too much in the story. But so I went with the Ebonheart Pact, which is Nords, Argonians, and Dark Elves. So and I went with a Dark Elf. And for like a class, went with a Magicka focused Templar. So in English, that means like I'm basically a magic based knight. So I use like Daedric summoning of weapons to do attacks, which are so it's like magic weapons that I pull up and then attack you with, and then also like all these sun based magic spells to like fight people. So I'll have like a burning like beam of sunlight is one of my attacks, or and then also so you have like all these magical things that you can do, but then also have like a physical weapon. So I chose magical staves as my weapon of choice. So between the magic weapons, like the Daedric weapon that's for my class is a spear. So I'm essentially like hucking like magical spears at you, and then also like throwing sun beams at you, and then also because of the magical staff, I'm like casting fireballs at you too. So my guy is just like hucking a bunch of shit at you all the time. It's all kinds of crazy lights and colors all over the place, and it's really fun to play so far. When I get into combat, it looks like a Dragon Ball Z movie. It's just energy all over the place.
That's funny.
It's awesome. So obviously, also, I played Legion on Tuesday night with Joey, which was pretty epic. But we're gonna talk about that later in the show. So for now, Marcus, how's it going, and what have you been up to?
Holy shit. Holy shit, we beat Revan. Like,
Finally,
dude, like there's a clip on my Twitch of that Kogus made, and it's 30 seconds of pure joy.
mm-hmm.
So Feta, do you know who Darth Revan is?
Yes.
Okay. So there's in SOTOR, there's the hard mode boss, and my team, Death Star Troopers, has been working on this one boss for 4 months. 2 hours a week,
Jeez.
one boss.
For Revan.
Eight people have to work together to beat this one boss. And I mean, fuck. I don't even know the feelings of it, and like when you the emotion, and Doc had he recorded his stream. He wasn't live, but like I that pure, when you work so hard for something for so long, and like you win, like you're not crying, because that's not my point. Is it was just so, my joy was so much that I didn't even know what to do. Like I lost it. I went fucking bananas because that chapter is finally over. And then I never have to go back. And even if I do go back with another team or something, like I've already beaten it. So it's not like a thorn in my ass anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And
it's not that undone thing on your to-do list or whatever.
And I just wanted to take a minute to thank everybody on the team. Because without any of you, Kat and Keone healing, Slayer being like the helping hand that this team needed to get over the top, and really like helping us grow, and then myself as a tank. I mean, all I did was try to stay positive through these 4 months, because like this shit broke our heart. Like it's a soul crusher. Every week there's like that one pull where you get the boss to 40%, or you get to the second floor, and then that's like you only do that once in the night, and then the night's over, and you're like, all that for like 2% progression, and you're just like, oh my god. And then our crushing DPS is Doc, Ven, um, Annie, and Muscle Man. And this week, Muscle Man was out when we got the win, but he already has the clear. Quef, he filled in, so thank you. But thanks everybody on Death Star Troopers, because that, I think, out of a lot of the fights that I've done and I've cleared, I think that one is my biggest ever, because Bronte's on hard mode was huge for us in the beginning, but I think this one, like, the team was solidified. We all worked so hard to get to this point, and honestly, I've never seen mechanics in a game that suck so bad as this fight. I was just like, I have a weird feeling like when we go to do the next fights, it's just going to be easier because the mechanics aren't going to be as insane as this thing was.
Right.
So, anyways, so then, as Nick alluded to earlier, I can't rope Nick into playing a game if I don't play it myself.
Right.
So, I started playing Elder Scrolls Online, and I created a tank, and I'm like a reptile guy.
An
I got a sweet,
Argonian. How dare you?
what I don't know what it's called. It's a reptile. I got a
Argonian.
tail. Yeah, and I swim really fast.
Yeah.
But anyways, so the game is beautiful. So the one thing I notice about this game versus the other MMOs is that this game, they actually put some real time into the world building, where in a lot of MMOs, like, the character may have some like detail, but like the world always suffers because there's so much world, where this one is just beautiful everywhere you go. I mean, a couple, like some of the rocks don't look fantastic, but if you look at the general landscape, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I appreciate how there's like crazy mushrooms all over the place too, which I know fits for the world they're supposed to be, but like the detail on those is crazy. There's all different hues that look exotic, but still like you can see like, oh, that's a mushroom. You know what I mean? It doesn't look
Yeah.
cartoonish, but like they've
At
got
all.
purples and reds and oranges all at the same in different sections of the mushroom, but it looks still like, oh yeah, that's a mushroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it must, and I don't know. I guess I should run a benchmark test on it just to see what it's doing to my computer compared to, a SOTOR or another of the MMOs, because it's beautiful. There's no question that game is beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the UI, because I think, as I'm not used to only having access to five buttons,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm overwhelmed in it, and I would say the tutorial system isn't great, and maybe I missed something, or I probably disabled it because I'm like, oh, I'm the best player ever. I don't need a tutorial.
Probably.
But I probably did. But I feel like I'm kind of like, I'm earning new skill points, but there's nowhere like in game to tell me what to pick. And I know you say you can pick what you want, but in like SOTOR, if you pick a tank class, it gives you a tank class, but then it gives you different things you can pick. Like, and you kind of can read through on like the items you want to pick. But in this game, it doesn't really do that. And maybe it will once I hit level 10. Because right now I think I'm level 9. So I have to step up my shit because Nick is levels ahead
12.
of me now. Yep. And yeah, I'm screwed. The last thing for my week is my Elgato Wave 3 mic came in. So I ordered, when they announced this mic and people started reviewing it, or like streamers and stuff started reviewing it, I went right to Elgato's website and I ordered it right away. It didn't say it was out of stock. It didn't say it was in stock. I just ordered it. So then at the same time, I got my 4K capture card, and the capture card came in within like 2 days, because my first capture card, I didn't realize, was a 1080p capture card.
Okay.
And so I have a brand new 1080p capture card here that I can't use on my computer because my monitors are 4K and I render in 4K.
Oh, so
And
everything on your computer's 4K.
correct. So you need that 4K pass through, which the 1080p one doesn't do it.
Gee,
So
I
anyways,
wonder who would want to use that, unless you're gonna.
actually, Coralie is buying it off me.
Damn
Sorry.
it!
Yeah, but you don't need it. You don't stream.
Not yet.
Oh, well, then newsflash, everybody. Nick is going to become a streamer. Exactly. So
Twitch.tv
anyways,
/@NickVern.
right. So this Wave 3 mic is awesome. It has its own software. So you essentially can break down individual sounds and control each one. So now I can control Discord, what the stream hears versus what I hear, and completely separate the two, which is huge. So if I like want to turn down Discord all the way so then everybody can't hear it, that's fantastic because they don't need to hear it all the time. They can hear it like at a low volume, but I always want to be at a higher volume than Discord, and I never could do that before where it came out right.
Right.
And now it just gives me a lot more options. So far the mic is really good. They say I sound really clear on it. The only unfortunate thing is I actually had to move the mic's location.
Mhm.
So my Yeti was above my head, and now the boom arm is underneath my monitor that comes out. So like I lose a little corner of the monitor, but it seems to be working good. Anyway,
Mhm.
Elgato Wave 3, highly recommend it to people. I don't use it for podcasting, so it's just for streaming, and the thing's pretty sweet.
So, quick couple questions. Um, One, so you're saying so the mic comes with software built into it that lets you separate like the Discord audio versus your audio versus what the stream hears?
Mm-hmm.
And is that a software package or is that something you're physically doing on the mic?
No, it's a software package. So that I would say is the only downside to this mic, and I'm glad you brought that up, is
Uh-huh.
because yesterday I just wanted to play, and I didn't have the software open, and because I didn't have the software open, the mic and nothing would work. Like nobody
Oh,
could
okay.
hear me.
Oh,
So
okay.
so I'm almost like it's nice to have the software, but if I just want to jam and play games,
Yeah,
I
if
almost have to I got to open up the software and make sure the settings are right and then go into it and then adjust from there.
yeah.
So it's
Okay.
an extra step. For when I'm streaming, it's fantastic. But when I'm just trying to jam and play games, it's just an extra step that I don't actually need.
All right, I see what you're saying. Yeah. How and my second question was how much is this mic MSRP?
I think it's $180.
Okay.
Um,
That's not bad though cuz the Blue Yeti's like 120 anyway or something like that, right?
uh,
Let's see. Blue
I don't
Yeti.
I don't know how much the Blue
Yeah,
Yeti is.
buck
Listen,
20.
all right. So
129.99.
yeah. So I personally, I loved the Yeti. I just needed the software. So, it says Wave 3 out of stock now. I went to the site.
Wow.
Um, wah, wah. Yep. So I can't even tell you. I think it's $180, but newsflash: um, if you buy the Wave 3 from Corsair when it's in
Mhm.
stock, and you sign up for their bullshit email list, you get 10%. So I actually paid 151.35 for it. So or
Sweet.
something. Yeah, and I know that's more than 10%, but somehow I feel like it was on special. Anyways, in SOTOR news, next Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, they're coming back with a live stream. So a few of us have started to talk about making a bingo card for it.
Okay.
So to say what's coming. So on the bingo card, like they're going to say the story's coming in the fall, the swoop race is coming back. That's a great question. PvP changes, legacy tokens, the veto map rule, whatever it is that we're gonna make our own bingo cards just to kind of have our own like little side game through it.
Matt eating Swedish fish.
Yes, stuff like that.
That's got to be on there.
So it's a funny time that they're doing a live stream, and it could be just coincidence, but they just released PvP changes
Uh-huh.
to the game, and the rank changes. This is straight from Kogus. The rank changes are great. They're finally fixing ranked PvP, which is great. I'm happy for them. But in the next swoop of it, they're ruining unranked. They're making wins required for unranked PvP. So in order to get the daily and the weekly, it requires wins, which I think is really messed up because unranked is supposed to be like practice town, right? I don't
Right.
know how to label. Nobody should be mad at you because you didn't win a match in unranked PvP.
Right.
I think that's a really bad move, and it creates more toxicity that is already in a PvP game, because we all know PvP creates toxicity. Just play Call of Duty back in Modern Warfare 2.
Definitely.
So check out next week, because it'll be interesting to hear what they have to say. I just thought of another one for the bingo card. COVID. How many times are they going to say COVID?
Ooh, I say over
Oh,
under
oh,
4.
and COVID beard. That could be one.
Are they're
Are
growing
people
COVID beards?
growing COVID beards? Yeah, wait.
Yes. Yeah, COVID beards.
Oh,
Anyways,
you know what? That must be a thing for the non-healthcare people.
yeah. Oh, because you guys can't have beards?
Well,
But we both do.
you can, yeah, we both do. But you just need special accommodations if you have a beard, so it's like frowned upon.
But you both have one.
Yeah, so we're both basically giving our hospitals the middle finger and saying, "Buy me the more expensive protection. Fuck off."
It's like we're pregnant women.
Yeah,
I know when-
Same
you're
protection.
legally required to accommodate for us.
Oh, because when Carrie had her when we had the babies, they made me put on this like neck beard cover thing, and that's why I almost passed out, because like I couldn't breathe.
And
I
that was
remember
all
the
in your head, right?
whatever.
We're,
Yeah,
we're
dude,
not.
no.
We're not
No,
doing
no.
this.
No, I can't, because that's not actually what made me feel lightheaded.
Yeah,
Like the suction. Never mind.
it was.
all I
Did
gonna
she
say
have
is blood.
cesarean? Did she
Yeah.
have cesarean?
Yeah.
The smell
so-
that made you pass out. I promise.
No, actually, it was the bucket that was full of like the blood.
The full
that
of
was-
her inside.
That was on the wrong side of the fence. We'll say that. And I was watching it bubble up, and sorry, everybody
is
listening
brew.
to the show. Anyways, so I'm sorry, podcast world, because that just went to shit. Anyways, in AIE news, August 1st through August 9th is our Summer of Love. And don't forget, August 2nd is our Remembrance Day. We all get together in all the MMO games, and we all celebrate and talk about all the friends, guildies that we've lost in the last year and the years before. And through the week of August 1st through August 9th, there will be something going on every day in all of the MMOs, just fun events. So check out aie-guild.org for the calendar events for Summer of Love. Nick, does
And
it sound-
what'd you say?
I was going to say, what does this sound like to you?
Hey, it sounds like if all this sounds fun to you, go to aie-guild.org, jump in the Discord, and ask for a guild invite. Whether or not you play Star Wars: Old Republic, or Elder Scrolls Online, or Call of Duty, or any of the other games that we play, we would love to have you. We want you. Yes, you, Joe, driving down the highway, listening to this right now, in your blue sedan. We're talking about you, and why aren't you in AIE yet? You've been listening to all 78 episodes now. Get in here. Let's go. Anyways, that's my rant. Join AIE. We're fun people.
Do you have to go?
I would love to go. So we'll be right back.
Jeez, Nick, hurry up. We're trying to finish this podcast.
And we're back. So today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Legion with a side of D&D. Now, Star Wars Legion, I think Nick and I saw this when we were at PAX East.
Yep.
And there was a ton of people playing. And like the guy's like, oh, just hang out and watch us play. And we were like, how long does it take? And he's like, oh, a couple hours, but like I can show you the ropes in like an half hour, 40 minutes. And Nick and I were like, nah, we're just going to go play some video games.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the basis of it. Fetta, how would you describe to me and everybody listening what Star Wars Legion is? And can you explain the premise of it?
Yeah, sure. So, Star Wars Legion is a tabletop miniatures game from Fantasy Flight Games. It's right on the front of the box. It says, an epic miniatures game in a galaxy far, far away. So, obviously, they're coining that whole Star Wars thing. Essentially, it's 1 versus 1
You both have an army that's one of the factions present in the movies throughout the different sagas. And you essentially want to. It usually just turns into a slugfest, but there are objectives that you want to capture, whether that be intercepting transmissions, sabotaging moisture vaporators, collecting supply crates, or infiltrating the other person's battle lines. There is kind of a lot to it. There's a lot of moving parts, but in a general sense, it's a small war right on the tabletop set in the Star Wars universe. So obviously, I love it.
I think the short version would be like, not that Joy's was the long version, but like sort of to wrap your head around what we're talking about. You've got a big. It's supposed to be. I think. What's it? What's the regulation size? 3x6.
Yeah, the play table.
Yeah, so it's a
3x6
3x6 table. You're
Wait,
sitting.
you need 3 feet by 6 feet to play the game?
Oh, big
Yeah.
table. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a giant table.
Yeah,
So
see, I could never do it.
so well, Joey has a whole dedicated D&D table that works perfect.
Oh,
But-
so then that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's
Props to your girlfriend, wife, friend, lady friend, whatever it is, because she allows that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, Joey has a whole. So his apartment is like a townhouse. It's 3 floors. So the first floor is like their bedroom and some storage, and then their second floor is their living room and kitchen, and then the top floor is just like Joey's playground.
Yeah, it's an
He's-
open loft, essentially. It's an open loft, and we have like dedicated areas because I live in an old mill, so there's big rafters up in it, and we
Sure.
separate each of the sections of the room into like 2 offices, one for beer, one for games, and like a spare bedroom if anybody decides to sleep here.
Yeah. So he's got a
Don't
bed up
forget-
there, 2 separate offices, one for Corey, his girlfriend, and one for him. A bathroom with a shower, and a whole D&D table setup / Star Wars Legion setup, and then also a video game section, and
And
a
a
whole.
Smirnoff Ice.
A big Smirnoff Ice right at the top of the stairs.
So I did do that. So one of the first times I came over to play, Joey had iced me. If you don't, you gotta know what icing is. But Joey iced me when we played paintball like the week prior with a giant 32 ounce. So I had to get him back with 2. So I went upstairs before he did and just dropped one like a mine in Call of Duty, right at the top
I
of
got
the stairs.
I got fucking claymored.
Exactly. Got him there, and then later when we were playing the game, the way the table was set up, it was right outside the bathroom door. So I put one right on the middle of the playing table, which was epic. So he came out of the bathroom right to an ice. But anyways, back to the description of the game. So I would say if you're looking for like a quick description, it's more or less like chess with different objectives, but instead of chess pieces, it's
Darth Vader.
Star Wars characters. Yeah, Darth Vader and Luke and that those types of characters.
Yeah, that's usually how I explain it. I explain it like chess because each of the different units has their own special rules and what they can do.
Right.
So it's a lot of strategy behind it, but I think it's an absolute ton of fun.
Yes. So yeah, each card does different things, and it involves a lot of dice rolling of different dice colors, so that have like different probabilities for chance. You've got red dice are the highest chance to hit something or defend against something. Black dice are sort of in the middle, and then the white dice are the weakest. But
Does the game come with the dice,
Yeah.
or do you have to buy your own dice?
No,
Yes.
it has specially made dice with, like he said, increasing tiers of greater probability.
So, for example, like Darth Vader's lightsaber is super, super strong. So when you roll an attack, it's 6 red dice, so 6 of the highest probability dice. Versus Stormtroopers are really bad at shooting, so each Stormtrooper only has 1 white dice. So
I'm going to defend the Stormtroopers. You try to shoot something with those helmets on.
yeah, that's fair.
The eyes
They
are
don't
in the
have- they don't
wrong
have-
spot completely.
They don't have aim assist.
No.
That's true.
And the
So-
recoil on a laser blaster has got to be absurd.
That is also true. Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy recoil. But yeah, I think without like getting too into the weeds of explaining the game, that's more or less what we're working with. So you have there's different rounds as well. So you set up the game. There's different setups you can have. Everyone places their sort of pieces. So I think actually, you think you should explain the role. We should explain the roles a little bit. There's different
Wait.
roles for troops.
But
I have
time
a
out
lot of
here.
questions. Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out here. So you have a 3x6 game field. So Nick, if you're the Empire and Joey is the
Rebel Alliance.
Rebel Alliance, you guys each set up your own guys the way you want it, or is there a book to say
Yeah.
you need to be here?
So here, let me set the scene for you here. You have that 3x6 battlefield. You then place terrain, whether it be kind of an emulation of the Forest Moon of Endor, Tatooine, Felucia, Geonosis. Like you can go as far as you want, wherever you want. I want to make a Scarif board, but that's kind of like later down the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you set that up, you put the terrain, and then you go over to the other side, and then you draft pick the game you're going to play. You have deployments, objectives, and conditions. So you select the deployment zone, which can be just lined up across from each other, Revolutionary War style. You can have one that's called disarray, so that's the four corners, but you're playing in opposite ones. And then if you buy different expansion packs, they come with additional deployment zones that kind of just change up how you play and the strategy. So you may be setting up like all to one side, and then the other army is spread out along the edges of the board to try and kind of flank and come in on a central objective. So after you do that draft pick, you get your deployment zones and then you set up your objectives.
So do you kind of understand the deployment zones? That's where you initially set up the pieces or the parts of each army. Does that make sense a little bit, Marcus?
Yeah, I'm just sorry I'm being quiet because I'm just thinking in my head about it.
No, I know
Um,
it's
Kind of hard to describe
Oof.
without having the table there.
Right. So
no.
yeah.
I understand it because of like playing D&D and playing other board games. I understand how it's how it's set up. And okay, so here we go. I'm actually looking at one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at one of Star Wars Legion or City Map.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at it. So I see. So essentially, I'm looking at this 3 foot by 6 foot thing, and you're saying like top left corner, the Rebel Alliance starts in the bottom right corner, the Empire starts, and you essentially, excuse me, you were essentially taking over the base. The map, and you guys have to be strategic on, you can't put an if you put an Imperial Walker against the Rebel infantry, obviously the
AT-AT
Walker's going to
win.
the AT-AT is going to just destroy them.
Yep.
Right.
So essentially, as the other player, as they see the AT-AT walking towards them, you have to change your tactic to get them the hell out of there and go the other way.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How long does it take a match to last, and how do you determine the winner?
So that really depends on the IQ levels of who's playing and how often you have to go back to the rule book for each situation. So I think the games that Vern and I have played lasted, like after setup, like when we were officially like, all right, let's go, first round.
Probably 2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah, I'd say 2 hours. It can be easily shortened to, I think the estimate on Fantasy Flight, their website is 90 minutes to 2 hours.
I think that sounds about right. If there's like minimal rule checking, I mean, if there's like a normal amount of rule checking, that sounds about right. I think if we never have to look at the rule book, we just go, we could probably do it in like an hour. But
Yeah.
10 minutes, if you think there's 6 rounds, so 10 minutes per round is pretty doable. But you got to be really moving for each one,
Yeah, and you have to resolve a lot of stuff. So like the first rounds typically go faster, and the last rounds go faster. Rounds probably 3, 4, and 5 take so long.
Yeah, because it's a lot. Now at that point, there's like rules and pieces are dying, and you've got to deal with suppression tokens and taking them on and off and aiming and different things like that. That you sort of deal with like the more complicated mechanics as in the middle rounds there.
Yeah. And to kind of go back to your original question, Marcus, how you determine the winner, it's based off of the objective that you select when you do that draft to set up. So you pick that deployment zone, and then you pick an objective. And when you pick that objective, it really determines how you're going to play the actual game.
Whether it be you have to get in base contact with a specific piece of terrain, or you have to go pick up a supply crate, or you have to kind of king of the hill occupy a space for X amount of time.
Or I think one of
Sure.
them is also like just get to the other end of the map,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yep.
So,
That
like
breakthrough.
breaking the line. Yeah.
Breakthrough.
Is this a lot like Imperial Assault?
It's very similar to Imperial Assault.
Because you
It's
can
on a
play
smaller
Star Wars.
scale.
Okay, because you can play Imperial Assault on Steam digitally.
Yeah, you can play Legion on Tabletop Simulator too. People have put in mods for it.
Wow,
That's
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's intense. I don't know how these people have time to do stuff like that, but I thank them for doing it.
Well, for me, I'm looking at, so I'm right now on Steam's website, and I'm looking at the Star Wars Imperial Assault. Like I could, like, because you can play the core game, Heart of the Empire, Jabba's Realm, Return to Hoth, like Twin Shadows. You can play all these games, and you know,
When you're
that might, like, that would be awesome to be able, for me to be able to play with you guys digitally, because I may not be able to play in person.
right?
Yeah.
That's a good option to explore.
Tabletop Simulator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, it costs me much less money because I don't have to buy all the expansions
That's
Well,
true too.
Wait.
or paint
But
them.
there's some. Well, wait a minute. What? They
Paint.
don't come painted?
They do
Nope.
not come painted. I have to custom paint and put together each miniature that is on my tabletop.
So
Which is a lot.
so a customer of mine, he doesn't play board games, but he creates World War II reenactments,
Mm-hmm.
and that's exactly what he does. He paints each individual trooper and sets it up on a board, and then once it's done, he sells the board to,
He makes like dioramas.
I don't know what it's called.
You're basically looking at a miniature scale of like Normandy.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Like a diorama.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
he had one guy that was like chopped in half because it was like he was blown up, and he was in the sand, or like well, I don't know if it was Normandy, but he was completely blown up, and it showed like a crater in the ground. It was wild. And
Yeah.
all of his guys were painted. So wait. So like when you get like what's a iconic thing? Oh, like
Boba
a
Fett.
Tatooine hut.
Tatooine
But
hut.
you had to paint that so it looks like it's been beat up by sand.
So
Yeah,
not even.
so
The terrain
they
you have
actually
to make.
don't. Yeah, so a lot of people 3D print most of their terrain. So if you can imagine that, like you 3D print a hut from Tatooine, and then you have to paint it and use different texture materials and things to make it look like it's on the base, like it's on Tatooine.
Right.
Or you can make it out of foam like Joey did.
Yeah.
But all the characters come all gray and sometimes in pieces. So Joey will take them, glue them together, and then paint them.
You can obviously play with them unpainted, but who wants to do that if you have the ability to paint them?
Right, and you don't want all gray pieces.
Yeah.
No, 100%, because you're not playing you're not playing Star Wars to play with gray characters.
Nah, you're playing to play with Star Wars characters. Like you want those bright white stormtroopers against the muddy rebels. Like that's what you want. It helps with the whole immersion of the experience. Like I don't think it would be nearly as fun if I didn't have all the supplies I've wasted hours of my life making.
Definitely not. That's part of the best part. Like if it was Darth Vader and he was just all gray, like having like the bright red lightsaber with like his all black outfit, you know what I mean? Joey does an awesome job where like each button is even like painted the right color, red and gray and things like that. It's pretty.
I bet it's. Is it really relaxing for you? Like after like a hard day, if you have a shitty day at work and you come back and you paint Boba Fett's jetpack, I can't imagine that's not like.
It's my
mega relaxing.
favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I can imagine it's very.
Thing.
Yeah, I can imagine it's very like therapeutic for you.
It can get stressful, especially it was like when I started this. And I got decent at painting miniatures because of all the experience I've had painting miniatures for D&D.
Mm-hmm.
And with D&D, there's very little reference. So you'll have the monsters manual and kind of like, not to get too deep into that, but you'll have some sort of reference on what these monsters are supposed to look like. Like goblins are green. That's about all you got.
Right.
Star
But
Wars, there's 9 fucking movies that depict them perfectly. And you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't copy it. Like, imagine if I just had blue stormtroopers.
right, that's just wrong.
Whack.
Yeah. But you can, yeah, but I think he did a good job of painting them all white and then have like little flecks of like dirt around the edges and things like that with them.
Yeah.
I at least for like, especially with Boba Fett that you just did recently, I thought the details on him were incredible.
Boba Fett is the best miniature I've ever painted to date.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Like, to date, it is absolutely perfect.
That's because he's so iconic, and he's like when you think Star Wars, like if I called you randomly and said Star Wars, first thing that pops into your mind, I'm betting there's a 1 in 5 chance that you're going to say Boba Fett.
Yeah, people say Luke Skywalker, Stormtrooper, Darth Vader, or Boba Fett. Like, that's it. Maybe Chewbacca.
Or Princess Leia.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they're
Her
definitely up
sculpt isn't
there.
that good. I don't really want to buy it and paint hers because it's like Commander Leia from when she takes over the Rebel.
Oh, so
forces.
she's not in like the white outfit.
No,
She's not in the Hoth. She's in the Hoth outfit.
not even the Hoth outfit. It's like Return of the Jedi outfit.
Ooh, that's dope.
I mean, not that Return of the Jedi outfit. That would be fucking sick. But we're talking the later one.
Oh,
Not Jabba's palace.
Yeah, not slave.
No, I
Leia.
didn't say this. Yeah, I didn't say slave Leia.
Yeah,
See-
her on Endor when she's like leading troops.
I'll tell you, man. That's awesome. See, I'm watching the tutorial on how to play this game
Yeah.
right now on Steam. In the tabletop simulator, I'm watching them play it, and there's a lot involved in this game.
There's so many moving pieces. That's why it takes us so long, because I collectively, I think, despite all the time I've spent like being around the game pieces and setting everything up, there's so much to the game. I've only played 3 real games where I was serious about it
Mm-hmm.
instead of just teaching someone how to play. And
Yeah.
the strategies that I've learned are nil compared to some of the videos I watch online of tournament play.
Oh, I can only imagine tournament play. That's crazy. Go ahead, Mark.
Go ahead, Nick. No, go ahead.
What I was going to say is one of the things I really appreciate is all of the sort of abilities or different things that characters can do are like perfectly fitting to their in Star Wars universe characters. Like one of Han's, for example, his ability is called Uncanny Luck 3. So a lot of times, let me just explain a mechanic real quick. Backtrack. So when you say you want to attack a piece, right? So stormtroopers are shooting at Han Solo, right? For example, stormtroopers have to roll their attack dice, and then you get however many hits or non-hits, and then say they hit him 3 times on their dice. Now Han has to defend with his defense dice and has to roll 3 defense dice to see if he blocks all 3 of them, or if all 3 shots just don't hit him, essentially. So for him, one of his abilities is called Uncanny Luck. So while he's defending, you can re-roll up to 3 of your defense dice. So say I roll my 3 defense dice and none of them block it, and then I roll 3. That means Han can roll 3 more and try and block those shots again, and then he won't get hit. So it's a game mechanic to simulate his uncanny luck that he just like doesn't get hit all the time with these shots, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah,
And obviously there are lots of other things like that, but just game mechanics that sort of fit well with the character, if that makes sense.
Yeah, going back to that Han Solo example, in the game that Vernon and I played on Tuesday, I just stood dead out in the open with Han Solo and went up against his ATST, so the bipedal walker.
Mhm.
And he went guns blazing, tried to hit me with everything he possibly could, and Han Solo did not even get a scratch.
Yep. I shot him with all of my weapons and none of them hit him because of that.
That's funny. And that's kind of what I was going to ask you guys is it must get more enjoyable to play as you both know the rules and the mechanics behind it, because it's got to feel good because I'm sure I'm watching this game right now. Okay, I can only imagine how many things you need to learn to be able to play this game without stopping. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is like Nick, once you're in a place where you know the game and like you only have one or two questions during it versus like maybe and I'm saying now I don't know the competence of you in knowing all of it right now.
Yep.
But once you know it, you guys are going to crush games because you're just going to sit down and start playing. There's going to be no discussion on anything unless there's a question. Well, unless there's a questionable rule, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like he was safe at first. No, he wasn't. Yes, he was. You know what I mean?
Right.
Same thing. No, I shot Darth Vader in his face, and his lightsaber couldn't have blocked that shit. Well, let's look. Okay, move on. But the more you play, the more you guys will be able just to play the game, not focus on rules.
Yeah.
Right. And that's definitely true. I think that's why some of our games are getting quicker. But as we're also adding more pieces in, that means so like for example, on Tuesday, that was the first time I had used Boba Fett. So I had to like look up all of his cards ahead of time and like read through everything and get familiarized with how his attack mechanics work and things like that. But it's definitely true where I think it's a lot easier to once you play one game, I feel like the second game is dramatically easier. Like you get probably 85% of what's going on like after playing one game. Is that fair to say, Joey?
Oh yeah, totally. You might even be able to get almost 100% of the mechanics, and like just have to remember things, like
Right. Like
not
taking your
forget the
suppression
specific
tokens.
token or the the upgrade that you have.
Right.
So
That's true.
For me, I would say, not playing this before, I would say it would probably take me, 2 or 3 matches to really figure it out.
Mhm.
Because the first one it's all lesson. Then the second one it's like partial lesson because you remember some of the core mechanics, but then it's really going to take you another one or another two to really remember. Don't you remember doing this? Oh shit, I have a lucky card or whatever it may be,
Mhm.
to be able to do that extra thing that could be you winning or losing in a game.
Yeah.
And all of the board games have those mechanics, like Mice and Mystics. We played that game a lot, and that had some different mechanics in it as well, with like chances, because again you would pop a card and all you need is that one card to be really awesome, and it changes the whole tone of the game.
Right. I think that's fair to say here as well. All you need is like some good rolls of the dice to like. I think I did that. Which character did I like wipe? Oh, one of your.
You got rid of my rebel veterans, so that would be the Hoth troopers that I have.
Yeah. Yep. I shot him
Blasted
with
the entire unit in one hit.
with the
That's
ATSD.
It was
That's
absurd.
fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic.
So one of the here's an example. So the ATSD, one of its bonuses is actually, can I look at that right now?
The upgrade? Are you talking about General Weiss?
Yes. So one of the upgrades that you can have on the ATSD is you get General Weiss in there. So General Weiss lets you attack twice. So, but the ATSD has more. You can get more than one weapon on it. So you have its main gun, which is 2 reds, 2 blacks, and 2 white dice, and so 6 dice total. That's its main gun, and then its side gun that I had was basically 1, 1, and 1. So that's 9 dice total just for one regular attack. Now, if you activate General Weiss, that's a bonus card. You can do that whole thing twice. So that's 18 dice that I could roll to try and hit Joey, and I did, and I wiped out a whole squad. I didn't hit him with 19 or 18, I should say, but I hit him with enough that he didn't block.
Yeah, you only had to hit me with 5.
Right. I hit him with 5. I think I had hit like 11 hits or something, and you had blocked like 4 or something.
Yeah, no,
So-
toast.
Yeah.
But that right there is luck of the roll,
Right.
and that just shows that one game set or move can change the whole outlook of the final game.
Right.
Yeah, immediately when that happened, do you know what I did? I went all guns toward that ATST.
Right. It's like, okay, that thing needs to die
It
immediately.
was like, I'm gonna go find cover and just start flinging stuff right at that walker.
Right. But another interesting mechanic I don't think we've touched upon yet. So each army has to be 800 points total, right? So each like unit or upgrade costs points. So for example, the ATSD is 195 points. So basically a quarter of the total points for your army goes to that one thing, if that makes sense. So obviously the ATSD is a really, really good card or a really, really good piece of your army to have. So
But it
if
costs
it
so much.
it costs a lot. That's 25% of your army without adding any upgrades to it. Granted, the upgrades are only like 10 or 5 or 10 points each. So I think
Nah, the
But
auxiliary weapons in the ATST can be upwards of 35.
well,
how do you earn points?
So
How do
you
you
just
earn
start with
extra points?
800 and anything you choose. So imagine it's like a buy system. It's like we're going to play Star Wars Legion. We each get $800 and
and you
we
buy
buy the different units and then we buy upgrades for them, not
right.
exceeding 800.
Oh,
That's
That's
a
so
better
the
when
way to
you
look at
balancing
it. Yeah.
mechanic.
Yeah.
so when you buy the core game, what do you get for pieces when you buy the core game?
Yeah. So the core set, there's two different core sets based on kind of which saga you want to go to or which part of the saga. There's the Clone Wars core set, and then there's the original #1 core set, which is what I purchased to start with. That comes with two commanders, so each army needs at least one commander. It comes with 4 core units, 2 for each faction, and then it also comes with a support unit. For the Empire, it's the 74Z speeder bikes, and for the Rebels, it's an ATRT Walker, which is basically just like an exoskeleton, tiny little thing that has a front-mounted gun.
Yep.
And that is very clearly not an 800-point army. That'll only get you to about 450 to 500. So in order to play a full game, you do need to buy expansions. And that's one of the things that kind of turned me off of this game originally, because it's a pretty big investment up front. But there's a game mode built into Star Wars Legion called Skirmish, which uses half the size of the table, so only 3x3, and you can play with 500-point armies.
That's essentially so people can get into it.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, I think competitively 800 points is the cap for each army.
Yeah.
And
You don't have to play like that. Like obviously if you're just at your house or whatever.
A lot of
So
people
you
just play Skirmish, which is that 500 point, which is the core set.
right. The so now the expansion, so if I wanted to buy the rebel troops and stormtroopers, how many troopers come in a set?
For expansions, it's typically 1. So let's kind of re-roll this a little bit. Going back to mechanics and this whole idea of army building, that 800 points, there are different types of units. You'll have a commander, core unit, operative, special forces, heavy, support. So those are all different pieces. So if we're going to continue with that kind of comparison to chess, it would be like your knights, your rooks, your king, and your queen.
And then pawns, obviously. So
And
your
then
your
pawns.
your core is like your pawns. So like the stormtroopers would be pawns or core units. And
Yep.
then on the flip side, just regular rebel troops are core units.
So you
So
have
just
all
like
those different ones that have different abilities, different numbers of minis, and kind of just that contains that whole one unit.
right. So like for example, a 1 core stormtrooper unit is normally 5 stormtroopers, and then you can upgrade it to have a 6th stormtrooper, or you can change it to have one of the stormtroopers be a heavy weapon specialist. That would be like a upgraded unit, but so it's like, to answer your question a little more directly, one of those would be 5. Well, like 1 core like just troop unit would be 5, and then you can upgrade it to 6. But normally if you buy like an expansion, if I wanted to buy Chewbacca, for example, is an operative, so that's like one individual that's badass that goes and infiltrates the lines or something. So that's just one figurine though. So you can also get Luke Skywalker as an operative, and he's got different statistics different stats and what attacks and things like that compared to the commander version of him, who's not going to be up on the front lines, if that makes sense.
It does.
So
Yeah,
you can
if you want like a better understanding, and for anybody who's listening, there are resources online. One called the Tabletop Admiral for Star Wars Legion, and then another one that just recently came out called Legion HQ by the Fifth Trooper. And those are essentially list building tools, which give you every possible combination of unit and upgrade cards that you can use, and you can piecemeal everything together to fit your playstyle and what you think would be beneficial. And there are limitations onto the number of units you can have. Like you can't have 3 ATSTs. Like you can't just have 3 walkers rolling up on these kids.
right. You have requirements. You got to have a commander, a certain number of core units. So it's like an
3.
actual arm. Oh, 3. Yeah, 3 core units.
Yep.
See, that's so essentially, in order to really get into this, you're going to be spending some money.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to. It's a significant investment in not only money but time as well, especially if you're gonna paint these things.
Which, as we've said, you kind of have to paint them.
Yeah, I don't recommend not doing it. You
It's
can even like there are commissioned mini painters. So if you have limited faith in your own abilities to paint something, you can pay some dude to like me to just sit in their basement and paint these things.
Yeah, but I guess that to me now, it's like if you're going to invest the time and effort, into it, you might as well just do it. Okay, so I'm looking at it now.
But
So-
if you think about it, that's also another investment because you have to buy paints and brushes and like XYZ, all this materials to kind of make it what it should look like in your mind. But you can
Mhm.
definitely play this game just straight out of the box. Like there is no issue with doing that, and it's still a very fun experience to learn the mechanic, and then kind of grow with the game as you enjoy it more.
Well, you get General Grievous.
That's the Clone Wars set, which I have purchased that 2 months ago. And because of COVID, the manufacturer has been so backed up, I still do not have it.
39 unpainted and highly detailed miniatures. 39?
39. That's
Wow,
two half armies.
right.
Oh, whoa. Half armies?
Yeah, because that only gets you to like 500-point armies as opposed to 800.
Right. Oh my god. Oh, see the regular Star Wars Legion comes with 33.
Mhm.
So you actually get more in the Clone Wars.
Right.
That's because you have more droids.
Wow.
That makes sense.
Oh, so here's the Star Wars Legion core paint set. Wow, it's $50.
Yeah, you don't need that. I'm not sponsored by Fantasy Flight. You don't need that shit.
Well, no, I'm just looking at it. Well, so
You can
okay,
use 50
so
cent craft paints at Walmart. Like, you're good.
well, no, I hear you, but I'm willing to bet this core paint set is authentic colors.
Yeah, and because they're specific miniature paints, the density of the pigment is so much better.
Right. And I'm not saying that you have to buy these because I'm sure you can find this high quality paint somewhere else. But wow. It's a huge investment. And then if you don't so the moral of this story for me is if you have somebody or a few people you can play with, then it's completely worth it to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. But in my own kind of circumstance, the way I enticed people to kind of get into the game is to have everything painted and looking awesome so that it's so much more engaging and they're more likely to come back because it feels like you're in the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm. That's why I like going over there all the time.
Yeah.
Well, plus I'm friends with Joey anyway, so I'd come hang out regardless. But it's a very good excuse to like come over and do something, you know.
Well, and how many things can you say in your life that you do for 2 hours that doesn't involve a phone
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
or a screen?
Not
of
even
some sort?
work. Like everybody's work, especially due to COVID-19, everybody's behind a screen all day, typically, unless you work in a trade, you know?
Right.
And
That's
even
true.
then, sometimes blueprints are still digital. You know?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I do understand. So, wow, this game sounds awesome. Now,
Marcus,
I
you gotta just tell the wife to take care of the kids for a couple hours and come on down here.
well, I will. It's just it's not so like that's the thing is I work so much. So then when I do come home, it's like almost like a small break for her, and I get to hang out with my kids. So if I plan it out and say, look at hey, next Tuesday I won't be home, then like I can plan. It's almost like my life is planned when it
And
comes to this
that's
stuff.
just adulthood, dude. Like that's
Yeah.
rest in peace, like free time.
Yeah. So I guess so for me, my last question is what do you like about Star Wars Legion more than you like D&D? And what do you like about D&D better than Star Wars Legion?
That's a fantastic question.
Okay,
So
Musco.
for me, for me, the big draw of Star Wars Legion is that nostalgia. So you're right back into the universe. And I'm a big collector. I like to collect pretty much anything, like whether it be cups or decks of cards or things. So with Legion, I can collect different units that are all set in different parts from the movie. So we've been talking about basically the core set, the Rebel Troopers and Stormtroopers, Darth Vader, XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can also get Shore Troopers from Rogue One. You can get Hoth Troopers and Snow Troopers, and then even down to the Clone Wars. Like they just dropped the I don't know the specific name, but the droid tank. Like you can buy that. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so
That's
you can
cool.
just collect these different pieces and they give you advantages in game and then they just look so awesome setting up on your shelf.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
Wow.
I like that kind of concrete aspect in collecting with Star Wars. But when you're playing the game, there's a lot of rules, there's a lot of steps, and a lot of like technicalities that are very, very right there in the rule book. And then D&D is the exact opposite. No matter how kind of tactile you want to make that experience, there's still so much room for creativity, not only from the DM, but also your players. And that's kind of creating your own story. Meanwhile, I feel like in Star Wars, we're trying to reenact scenes from the movie more often than not.
Yeah, or if not reenacting scenes, then you're sort of taking traits that those characters have in the movies and like trying to keep the what's happens like along those character traits. You know what I mean? Like I want Vader to choke somebody. You know what I mean? Or like, not just throw his lightsaber. Like I want him to force choke somebody because that's Vader. You know what I mean?
well, and I'm just look at so I'm on the website. Just the maps. So you got your desert junkyard map, desert ruins, Hoth game map, Sullust game map, Jakku game map, sorry. And it just goes on and on. My God. I'm looking at all these expansions and I'm just like, holy shit.
There's so much to it and so much more on the way. Like COVID slowed a lot of things down, but in the ropes there's Anakin Skywalker
Oh my
from I
God.
believe he's from like Attack of the Clones. That's his sculpt, but he comes in as a commander. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe it'll be Revenge of the Sith. I hope so. But
Like
I hope it's Revenge of the Sith too.
yeah.
you can get director Orson Krennic.
Yep.
Yep.
Like what? Like oh my
Yeah, they came out
you
with
can get Death Troopers are sold out. Wah
Death
wah.
Troopers have been sold out like since they came out. And then another really cool thing about Star Wars Legion and Fantasy Flight is they bring in all sorts of things that aren't just from the movies. Like Star Wars Battlefront 2, we were just talking about that. You can get Iden Versio.
Yeah, I'm
And
looking.
they just
Leader of
dropped
Inferno
the
Squad.
Inferno Squad.
Mm-hmm. Or Nick and my favorite, not really, is Bosk.
Bosk.
Fuck
Bosk
that
is
guy.
overpowered too.
Yeah, well, he's overpowered in Battlefront too.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
All right. So what else? Galactic Republic. Oh my God. Like literally, you need to work like 30 hours of OT every week just to buy all these.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they're expensive, but I don't really want to talk about it. So
Well, yeah, that's because your girlfriend is sitting right there. And
nah, she just went downstairs actually, so we're good.
Yeah,
But yeah, each expansion, like if you're talking a core unit or a special forces unit, anything with multiple miniatures, you're talking 25 to 30 bucks for that one unit. If you're getting a heavy, 40 to 50 bucks. Like the ATST, which you have to have if you're playing a Star Wars game, you have to have an Imperial Walker. That right there is 50 bucks.
Mm-hmm. And that's also
$50.
pretty epic.
Of course, like I'd pay $100 for it, but that's not really what we're talking about here.
Right.
No, dude, the ATRT, which was what the Clone Wars like rode on top of,
Yeah,
the Walker,
yeah,
it's $30.
30 bucks.
Right.
Or you buy it in the core set, which costs you 75 bucks on Amazon, and you'll get all those miniatures. So
What? You can get a crashed escape pod battlefield expansion. What is this?
that's the one that comes with R2D2.
R2D2. Oh my god. So you essentially can play A New Hope.
Yeah, oh yeah, you totally can. Crash the escape
100%.
pod, and then you kind of travel into the city to try and escape the Empire, you know?
And then you realize the Empire is fighting with the rebel troops in
Exactly.
Tatooine.
Oh my god. This is so I've just been separatist expansions. Tell me you can get Count Dooku.
Yep.
Oh my god,
Count
you can get
Dooku's the
Count Dooku.
commander.
So like see this
Yeah.
is oh wait a minute.
They
can
also
get
just
Cad.
released Darth Maul as an operative.
No, Cad Bane, bro. Like it pre-order, like $14.95. I would buy it just for the character.
Yeah.
Cad Bane is so dope. Wow, this is it comes pre-painted.
No, it doesn't.
No, they all
This
come.
one's painted. This
No,
one's
that's
painted.
just the picture online. That
I
shit
see.
comes
Yeah, yeah.
pre-painted.
Does
Oh,
not
yeah, I
come
see.
pre.
And
Does
you can
not
take
come.
off the hat. You can take off the hat.
Yep.
Anyway,
That's cool.
well, I'm blown away. For me, I wish like if I could. I know it's not the same, but for me, like I could see myself playing this if I could play it digitally.
Yeah.
And I know
You
it's not the
can.
same. Yeah, this would be my jam.
It's really cool.
100%.
I like the board game aspect of it. I'm really old school, and my favorite thing is straight up just being with people. Not even over Discord, because the technological advances we have like bring people together, but there's nothing like sitting around a table all focused on one thing, trying to have a good time. Like to me, there's nothing better on this planet than that.
Sure. So I'm gonna circle back to my original questions. What is something that Legion that you like about D&D more than Legion?
The creativity, the bar none, the creativity and like the expanse of options you have, being able to role play your own character. So kind of like Star Wars Legion is more structured, and D&D has its rules. But if you come up with something, like you can disregard those rules as long as your DM will allow it. Oftentimes I will, if it's that epic and it fits your character. You know, like just that limitless potential for writing a story and experiencing it with other people.
I understand that.
I think to answer your question, Marcus, I kind of agree with Joey about the creativity versus structure. I think Joey did a good job of answering both those questions. I pretty much, I don't mean to be lame, but I agree pretty precisely. D&D, you can make your own adventure really, and with Legion, you're sort of recreating adventures that you know and love already. I think that's a good way to summarize it.
And you have specific objectives in Legion. Like there's a way to
Right.
win. There is
Right.
no possible way to win Dungeons and Dragons. You can beat the big bad evil guy, but there's going to be another one,
Right.
and
There's always
going to
more.
be untold adventure traveling and just being there in that alternate world that you've created collectively in your minds.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Interesting.
They're both great games, though.
What are you guys talking about in here?
Find out next episode of Working Class Nerds.